What's up guys, welcome back to the Ssavid channel. It feels like it's been way too long since I've been on here, but I am really excited to be back. Today we're going to be diving deep into my newest single, which actually just dropped about a week ago. That song is called Cynic, and you can find that anywhere you find good music. This song had been a long time in the making, and I'm really glad it's out there for the world to listen to. The song means a lot to me, and I hope you guys can take a little bit from it as well. So I'm not going to waste any more time, let's jump right into the project and find out how I made this indie-emo rock tune called Cynic.
So tell me, are the angels true? I think I've known of you.
Right, so here we have it. We have the master project for this tune, Cynic. As you can see, this is a bit of a behemoth of a project. There's a lot going on, a lot sort of deactivated, so those were ideas that were getting thrown around. But that's often how it is when I'm making actual songs that I want to release. It's a testament to the time that was spent on the project, trying new things, throwing things in that don't always work out. So let's go section by section and figure out what is actually going on in this project, what things are working where, and how it all comes together to form the final product. Alright, we're ready to rumble. Let's start with this intro and first verse section. Now, a lot of these sections are made up of the same or similar elements. They're just working in different ways throughout the song, sort of changing the tone of things, adding a bit of distortion on some of the guitars. But essentially, it's something that could be played live with different instruments, and that was obviously what I'm going for. I guess I'm going for a sort of one-man band approach. If you know any people out there looking to form a band, this guy right here, he's got no bandmates, and he's doing what he can. So first things first, we need to look at these clean guitars because they're really the element that formed the basis of this track. It's what I built everything around. It's what I wrote the vocals to and sort of used it as the foundation to build the whole product. So this first little riff that I'm sure you're familiar with if you've heard the song goes like this. To work alongside that, as you heard, that clean riff was on the left. This high riff goes on the right and sort of fills that melodic space, but is playing sort of like a counter melody type thing. Add those together and we form that foundation. So looking into how things are actually played on the guitar, this is tuned down half a step. As you can see, we've got the capo up here on the 12th fret. That's so I could get that really nice high end sort of chord progression. So all I'm doing is playing an A minor and then a C, going back to A minor, C, and then an E minor. And that forms up that whole clean riff. Now for that counter high riff, I am going to be completely honest here, I have kind of forgotten how to play it exactly, but I know it goes along the lines of somewhere in the 7th fret. We're just sort of playing a sort of weirdly constructed kind of chord here. As you can see, I've completely forgotten how to exactly play that, but you sort of get the idea. It's something I just played around on the neck and sort of found something that suited, that wasn't exactly the same as these sort of high chords I'm playing up here, but it sort of acted as a nice contrast to go alongside it. All of my instruments are actually running into this reverb bus. This gives it a nice room reverb, so it feels like everything's sort of being played in the same room in like a concert venue or a studio. Just gives a bit of consistency to the different elements that are working together to sort of form them and group them into one. Another thing I added to sort of fill that space a little bit was add this just simple little synth that goes, as you can see, basically the whole song. So those are just simple 2 notes, and that is just coming from a Labs preset. Now again, just listen to what it does to the mix with these guitars. Once we've completed that chord progression once, we bring in some bass and some drums. This bass is super simple. It's literally just following the chords of the chord progression. And then we have the drums. Now, I don't have a drum kit myself, not an electric, not a acoustic, nothing. So I am limited to VST drums, which is all good. It's just a bit of a process when you're sort of writing that MIDI in there. Now, as you can see, I've broken my drum VST into 5 separate plugins. I use this SSD5 drum generator, and what I essentially do is just write a drum pattern into each of these areas. As you can see, that's all sort of MIDI generated in there. And the reason I split it up into 5 different channels is just for mixing purposes, so I can get them into 5 separate mixer channels in here, so I can EQ them in different ways that I see fit. Just do whatever the mix really asks for in terms of the drum sound. So this verse is very simple. It's literally just those guitars, that bass, that drum, and then the vocal comes in here. Now I'm going to go into a bit more depth for the vocal later, so stick around for that or skip to that if that's all you're interested in.
Something in the way you keep avoiding me keeps me energized.
Now we move on to the sort of pre-chorus part of the verse. This is where everything starts to get a little bit wavy. I guess we start the song like kind of funky, with a funky groove to those guitars and bass and everything. And here we just like sort of coast it, smooth sailing, sort of wavy, you know the vibe.
Show yourself, there's something in the way you move.
With all those original elements, we're just sort of taking the funk out of it and just introducing like a nice smooth strumming pattern. Right, so for these guitars in this wavy sort of pre-chorus section, there is some changes to the chord progression. We're hitting an F, and then going C, A minor. Now my favorite part in this wavy pre-chorus section, it's probably my favorite element of this track actually, is this nice wavy guitar. So the way I got this wavy tone on this guitar was using this Mariana pedal. This is a cheap little plugin I picked up for, I don't know, it was cheap as chips. And it's essentially like a chorus sort of reverby plugin that is quite versatile. So I have this set to the Abyss setting, and I'll just let the sound speak for itself. It is just wave. As you can see in the project, I've got one on the left and the right. We've got 2 recordings here. Listen to the mix without those guitars and then with them, just a huge difference.
Show yourself, there's something in the way you move.
Just feels kind of completely empty and, to be honest, just a bit lifeless.
Show yourself, there's something in the way you move.
Alright, let's get into this chorus section. It's reasonably simple to break down again. A lot of the elements remain the same but are sort of changed in tone, as I mentioned. Right, let's just start with the easy part. We've got the drums. We're just adding a bit more energy and a bit more mana, a bit more drive in these drums. We got the bass just firing on all cylinders, bringing that nice chunky thickness to that low end. Right, now these guitars in the drop, as I said before, they're the same, but a little bit different, obviously, in their tone. So what I'm using to get my distortion tone that I've been using in basically all my tracks lately is this Dark Matter plugin from TC Electronic. It just works well as a drive sort of crunch boosted type thing. So I'm not looking to get a ridiculous amount of distortion and crunch out of this pedal, but I'm just looking to get a bit more grit and a bit more thickness to it. So firstly, I guess the thickest and grungiest part of this guitar makeup is this low chord progression. So we're just playing the chords, the F, the C, the A minor, the E minor, just in their normal sort of bar chord ways up and down the frets. Now to go alongside that thick tone, I wanted to add some high elements in there. Again, I'm using this high riff that I've forgotten. That's just basically being distorted and played in the same way as it was in the verse, just with that sort of downstroke strumming pattern. Again, I should really write tabs down for my songs because I have no idea how to play that anymore. And then I also have a sort of higher pitched chord progression of a grungy guitar. Now this was played up the neck, utilizing the E, the F, the A, and the C all the way up here to the 15th fret. All together with those sort of grungy guitars, we get a nice full guitar sound that's filling out that mix, just adding nice melodic sort of grunge to the mix. And another key element is, of course, this wavy guitar that's coming through the chorus. I want us to keep that in there because that adds just so much nice sort of melodics to the mix, nice sort of atmospheres, I guess. So with everything firing in this chorus, of course we've got vocals and vocal harmonies, which I'm going to dive into very shortly. You get a nice, full, complete chorus. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Right, now let's go into the second verse, but more so the bridge section, because this second verse is basically the same as the first, so I'll just touch on the things that have been changed up. Firstly, we have this little random guitar riff. I just randomly played this riff into the recording, just a clean sort of guitar riff after the chorus, and threw it in there, and it just sort of hung around. It was just sort of chilling there. I was like, all good, bro, dap you up. You can chill out there. You're kind of the homie, so I'm not going to delete you. So that's sort of how it goes sometimes. And that brings us into the second verse, and we essentially just play out that first verse again for the second verse, obviously changing up the lyrics. The second chorus is again basically the same, however it's doubled in length as we add some more lyrics into that chorus. But the real difference here, I guess, is going into this bridge section. Again, a little bit of a change, but mostly the same. As you can see, we have some drums, the bass, the high riffs. Now the chord progression changes up there, obviously, just a little bit. We go into a D minor, I think it is, to an F, up to a C, and maybe an A minor, or maybe it's D minor, F, A minor, something like that. We're basically keeping those core chords in there, but we're introducing that D minor to bring that sort of bridge edge. So for the vocals, I need to take us into a whole new project file. As you can see, there is a lot going on here, and vocals are without a doubt the most challenging area for me. I wouldn't say I'm the best singer in the world. I think I can hold a tune, come up with vocal melodies, but it can be tough sometimes. It's definitely a process. Essentially what we have here is a bunch of different takes that I did for the vocal. But essentially what I did was go through each section and do about 4 or 5, maybe more different takes for each of these vocal sections, the verse, the choruses, the harmonies. And then I could take those comps and bring them together into one full master thing. So if we have a listen to a take here, This is completely dry, just going through the mic, so it's probably going to sound pretty rubbish, honestly. It'll sound bad, but oh well, it's all part of it.
Thing in the way you keep avoiding me keeps me energized. Waking early morning just to see your shine. Let there be light.
So basically what I would do is just painstakingly go through each of those takes and comp something together that sounded good.
Something in the way you keep avoiding me keeps me energized.
So once we've got that vocal tape together, I render it out into a full file. And then I take this file and I run it through a bit of tuning because I am so overly critical of my own voice that of course I'm gonna tune it a little. So what I usually do is just run it into New Tone, which is a FL Studio stock tuning plugin. And I pull everything onto the center and just play with this variation knob. Usually I'm around about like 50, anywhere from 30% to 50%. Obviously with this genre of music, you don't want to go too flat because then it just sounds like a really terribly auto-tuned song.
Something in the way you keep avoiding me keeps me energized.
What we've got there is a pretty good sounding product, pretty natural sounding as well, and it's all in tune, which is just the way I like it, and I can actually be happy with how my vocals sound. So again, this process is just repeated for all these different parts of the songs.
So tell me, are the angels true? I think I've known a few.
Now these vocals, they get run into different mixer channels. I don't really have a set process of how I process my vocals, but usually it's just EQ, de-essing, bringing down those sounds. I've got this thrill seeker compression on here, and again just EQing. So jumping back into the full project here, the vocals get rendered out and they get thrown in here, and there will just be a little bit more processing on these vocals. Honestly not much. They're just sort of coming into a reverb, a little bit more compression, and just sort of fitting them into the mix with reverb and delay. Just simple little things, just clean up duty really, and just fitting them nicely into the mix. So that brings us to the end of this track breakdown, this breakdown of my emo indie rock track, Savior Cynic. Savior Cynic is out everywhere, it's streaming on all major platforms, so go ahead and click the links down below to take you there and listen to the track. This project file and the vocal project file will be up on my Patreon, so if you are interested in diving deeper there. But I think that's everything from me, guys. I hope you are enjoying listening to Savior Cynic. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned maybe just one thing. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for listening to Savior Cynic. It's been so good to be back on here making videos. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a good one.
So